First of all, congratulations on this beautiful film. It's majestic, it's fantastic, and I had a really fun time watching it. Well, not fun, but it's a great movie.
I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very proud of it.
Yeah, as you should be. My first question would be, what did you like the most about the performance from your leads, Letitia Wright and Jamie?
Well, I think, as both a director and just a viewer of the film, I'm just riveted by her performance and the energy and her ability to sort of grasp what are really hard, nuanced moments to sort of communicate. She has this amazing ability to sort of go from sort of intimate and calm to sort of explosive, and there's a very fine line sort of connecting those two emotions, and that's very rare, I think, in sort of actors to have that nuanced understanding of it.
Absolutely. And I spoke to them a little bit earlier, and we were talking about the tone of this movie. It's serious, it's grounded, and it's established right out of the gate. Did you have like a very clear direction of where you wanted to go with this story from the start? And what did you do to establish it?
Yeah, no, I've always been a fan of the Western trope. I wrote my film school thesis paper on the Western, and I love, it's one of the great genres of film. And you sort of have these levers that you can pull that sort of pull the audience into something that they've seen before. With this film, I wanted to take the opportunity to try to take those levers and kind of actually flip them on their head, and then add sort of a modern sort of discussion about where we are in the world when it comes to us versus me versus you, good versus bad, my trauma versus your trauma, my pain versus your pain, and really sort of try to explore really like sort of like the human experience, as we see each other, as all the chaos sort of settles, how do two people actually reckon with each other and actually find what is similar about the moment versus sort of, what is not.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned the Western inspiration behind the film. Could you tell me a couple of examples of Western films that you used as inspiration for this movie?
Well, my favorite is Unforgiven, and I think what you pull from that is that the classical tropes don't have to be preserved. An audience and you can make a film sort of outside the boundaries of what you're used to watching. That was what that did. And sort of taking like what you expect your typical protagonist to be in this film. In many ways, if we were making this movie 40 years ago, the movie would be about Wheeler, not about Mo. And so being able to sort of take the camera and take the story and focus it on hers, really as a character that would have been, sixth or seventh lead in a classic Western, and actually amplify her story as the story, creates a real opportunity to explore it from a different angle.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask, especially because Mo is the focus of the story, what made you choose Letitia Wright for this role?
It was pretty evident from the beginning, when we met with her, that she possessed this power and this connection to the material. And I think from a physical sensibility, she really, like, when I close my eyes and imagine what Mo looked and felt like, it was her. Letitia came in very early to work on the script with us, as a producer and as a partner with us, and really sort of make sure that the movie was honest and grounded, and based on sort of, fragments of history, but that it also had like a real sort of character-driven vein through it, and we could really sort of challenge her narrative and make sure that we sort of stress tested along the way, to put her through those challenges.
Right. And, I also wanted to ask regarding this role and this movie. Obviously, Letitia's performance was crucial to it. But I wanted to ask, coming back to this being a Western, what were the challenges of, shooting in a practical set, in a physical location that you found during the filming of Surrounded?
Sorry, ask that question one more time.
Yeah, sorry, what were the challenges of filming in an actual physical location for Surrounded,
Yeah, I mean, one of the great tropes of a Western is that you're actually out in the middle of nowhere, right? And with this film, I really wanted to go to a place that felt beautiful and chaotic, sort of vast and expansive, but dangerous. And so we picked a location sort of 2 hours north of Santa Fe called Ghost Ranch in the surrounding area of Abiquiu, which really is not a place that people make movies because it's very far away and it's also really extreme. And so part of embracing that was also being able to create a tableau where you could point the camera anywhere and there was sort of this resonance. She was surrounded by this chaos and this order, essentially.
Awesome. And my final question before I go, through your research in this specific period of American history, is there anything that really stuck with you throughout the production of this movie and beyond?
Well, I think we've told history from kind of one perspective. And I think there's, 100 perspectives of people that experience this time. I think, obviously Mo Washington's story and any story like hers has never really been told. There's the Kathy Williams story that was a great reference for us, based on her story, but we used as inspiration. She was a Black woman that hid as a man and fought in the Old West. But even Tommy's story, even the story of sort of like this boy who had this very traumatic moment and he's sort of wreaked havoc on everything around him as a way to cope with how he feels and his own sort of loss. I don't think that we tell the Western story from that sort of emotive character perspective. I think it's sort of like, there's a town, there's someone that rides in, there's someone that comes out onto a porch, there's going to be a duel, and that's our structure, right? I think the idea here was to try to give the audience the classic tropes in the opening of the movie and the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then sort of once you had sort of slow the film down and really explore the crossroads of these characters and what they were experiencing.
And it shows. And it shows. This
Thank
is
you.
a truly special project. And again,
Thank you.
I wanted to congratulate you for it. This would be all of my questions. This interview was an honor, and I wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Diego.
Thank you, Anthony. Nice to meet you.
Okay.